From the floor of the CME Group, this is Danny Riley from MrTopStep and my friend
Tim Haefke, TopNotch Trading.
Yep. Well, listen, real quick, you know, a lot's going on in these markets, Tim, and as you know, October is known as the spooky month, and we've been talking about that all month. September was bad, and then October rolled in, but I want to take you back in time, back about almost 2 years ago, and you and I did a video on the CME floor where you were talking about a trend channel.
Well, actually it's an ascending trend channel.
Ascending trend channel, that's right. And I remember this, the reason we're talking about this is because Tim's going to put up a couple of charts, but I remember this video vividly when Tim was explaining this trend channel that he was talking about. But go ahead, Tim.
Well, it started back at the end of 2011 when they made a yearly low, Dan.
Right.
And when they found this low for the year, we entered in 2012, and they were making probes to make higher highs, and they pointed out to a high that came back with a nice retracement. And then when they made that next bottom, they decided that we were going to find two bottoms of this channel trend that was starting to form.
Right.
And when they came back up to make a higher high, it was there set in concrete. And boy, since the end of 2012, all of 2013, Dan, we never hit the top or bottom of that channel trend. And what is ascending kept the markets searching, probing for that upper end of that ascending channel trend. And voila, what happened this year? Hey, go ahead, Dan.
Well, you know, we made new highs this year, and now the markets are backing off. We've got a lot of problems out there. We've got Europe on fire. We've got Ebola hitting the markets. We've got the stuff going on in the Middle East. But now finally, what happened to your trend channel?
Let's move a little bit slower now, Dan. Now in 2014, you're going to see charts now on a weekly first, and then they're going to point out on a daily chart. But we were probing the top of that channel trend finally in 2014, hitting it a couple times on a weekly basis, but never seeing us settle above it on a weekly. Then if we transpire this chart to a daily, you can see how this channel trend was getting hit time after, boom, day, and there was 2 days that they settled above it on a daily, but never a weekly, that came into view. And now with what's happening, we're finally looking and taking a probe to the bottom of this channel trend, Danny, and I believe that's what we're targeting right now.
Well, Tim, as we target the lower end of that channel, are you thinking that we're getting close for a low in the S&P?
Yes, I do. I believe if they were going to take so many times in trying to find the high, now's the time to try to find the low. But listen, the value of the trade right now is being controlled by fundamentals. And even if it's a big technical shot that we're going for right now. And then on a weekly trend line, it's coming in at 1809.60. But if you come in at the daily, it's 18 even half. So if we don't see this by the end of the week, those levels will change. But bet your bottom dollar, I'm looking for 1809.60, a probe of that. And as long as 18 even half holds, and we settle it by the end of the week above 1809.60, it could lead to a nice bounce, ensuing bounce. But Lord, who knows what's going to happen, Danny, if on a weekly basis we settle below that level.
Right. Well, the other part about this and what's going on here is, I was pointing out during the summer, Tim, how the volumes in the S&P dropped down to like 850,000 a day. Now they're doing 3 million, 3.2 million a day. The algos are going ballistic.
Well, everything's going ballistic, Dan. And believe me, there was little sneak peeks of what was going to happen with this move south in these futures, equities, and everything, due to the fact that the 30-year bond and all these other treasuries are seeing moves higher and higher, and we're just kind of playing along with them. Usually we see a flight to quality, but I'm going to tell you something that happened today, and it was of biblical proportions in that 30-year bond. It hasn't even been seen since the 87 crash. I don't even think it ever got close to what happened in the 87 crash. But they opened in the regular session today at 143.09, made a low of 143.06, started a rally up to like 145.12, over 2 full points. And then in the next move, it took 6 minutes to go from the 145 handle to 148. 148, 3 more points? No way. Yeah, well, that's what the market was doing, and there is no saving these future indexes when this kind of event happens. And like I said, it's biblical proportions because the ensuing pullback, Dan, over 3 points.
Jeez.
All the way down, I believe the last low, when I looked, was 144.17.
It's unbelievable.
Unreal.
Well, you know, the big thing that everybody's talking about is what's going on at the SIBO. The VIX is up 75% on the year. Let's leave it like that, Tim. Tim's agreed to come back and do some more videos throughout the week, and I praise him for doing that. I think he's got some great information, and thank you very much.
You're welcome, Dan, and we'll see you next week.